Hey everybody, Stephen Joy here. I just want to talk about the 1D&D playtest going on right now. I've been following it, following the videos and stuff. I'm not actually taking part in it or looking at the rules or anything except on videos and so forth. But I just wanted to talk about how I'm concerned it might sort of be a critical failure. And now I know that the actual D&D 5e rules are not going to be altered, or so they claim, or not heavily altered. But as some of you might know, Magic the Gathering is kind of going through some crazy stuff right now, and Hasbro's trying to ramp up making money from it and so forth. And that's, ended up with packs of cards, or a box of cards, just a handful of cards. They're trying to get $1,000 for them. which has gotten a little bit of blowback from some fans and so forth. And but what's got me concerned is that Hasbro stocks are down, and so Hasbro itself, who owns Wizards of the Coast, might be trying to generate more money. So watching that and watching the 1D&D stuff, I see that 1D&D, it's smart for business. I mean, this is what businesses do. They look for places that other competition has started making money, and they try and move into it. For example, the digital marketplace, which we get with the DMs Guild, they moved right into that, working in collaboration with DriveThruRPG, which is nice. They didn't push DriveThruRPG out, but worked with them. But I'm a little concerned on a few levels with the idea of a digital virtual tabletop, which they've been sort of showcasing, and it looks really exciting. Don't get me wrong. I think it just looks absolutely fantastic. It'll be really neat to play with. But my worries about it, and I don't know if they're warranted or not. This is just kind of, me. I'm just voicing them. I don't know how relevant or how realistic they are or whatever. Be sure to let me know down in the comments what you think about any of this. But my concern is that maybe they've seen the virtual tabletop industry and thought, hey, not Wizards of the Coast, but Hasbro maybe, or maybe Hasbro's told Wizards of the Coast to go in there and start trying to take over some of this market, because the virtual tabletop space is really quite large. So where that concerns me, well, first off, pushing out the other guys, such as Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or something like that would be sad. But aside, but aside from that, it concerns me in that if they are looking at a market like that and saying, hey, we could move into that market, it concerns me that they might also view the OSR market as that. I'm pretty sure that they can get rid of the open game license anytime they want. If I remember correctly reading it, they can cancel at any time that they want. And sort of 1D&D, just the name itself, as soon as I heard that, being a Lord of the Rings fan, of course, I thought of one ring to rule them all. And it kind of scared me because this is like one rule set to rule them all. Is it possible that Hasbro is thinking we could take over the OSR market and try and boost our stocks that way and increase our sales that way? And I haven't seen anything to indicate that they would do that, but I haven't seen anything to indicate they wouldn't do that. It would be a really crazy move, but quite frankly, so is releasing $1,000 set of cards in the middle of this economy, pricing most of your fans right out of the game. Sorry. Yeah, we're not interested in poor people playing the game. We're after the rich people. I mean, that's pretty wild, right? So I kind of see that like maybe Hasbro doesn't understand the game, as well as we would hope. Now, obviously, I'm pretty sure Wizards of the Coast understands it, but Wizards of the Coast, they take their marching orders from Hasbro because Hasbro owns them. And Hasbro might not understand it that way. Hasbro might have more of a business mindset, less of a game mindset. So already the 1D&D is a bit of a money grab, in my personal opinion, in that it's going to force everybody to buy all new, fancy, expensive books. Or it's going to encourage people to buy them. It's not going to force them, I imagine. But it's going to encourage it, probably with new art, new rules written up, whatever. Even though the fundamentals will stay the same. Maybe even just stay the same and just be enhanced, which is wonderful. Nothing wrong with that. And nothing wrong with trying to make some money either. I don't begrudge Wizards of the Coast that either, but it is what it is. So that's my concern there with 1D&D, as I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, wow, okay, they're going after the virtual tabletop market. What's to keep them from going after the OSR market? Because, as many of you know, the D&D 5e can be converted over to OSR very easily. In fact, there's no reason that Wizards of the Coast, or Hasbro, more like Hasbro, wouldn't be looking at these rules and saying, well, why don't we release the OSR rules, and then we'll just cancel the license and say it was nice while it lasted, but it's not needed anymore. I mean, it would be a big move. I imagine the good folks at Wizard of the Coast would object strongly, but that's my concern. I'm just voicing concern. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Not saying even it could happen, just that's my worry. I've seen these big companies operating before. They're kind of scary, you know, sometimes. So that's my first concern. Now, my second concern about the 1D&D, and I have to bring this up with none other than the 4th edition Player's Handbook, because I think the 4th edition really illustrates this concern of mine. When I first heard about 4th edition and they were talking about it, I couldn't help but think that what they were doing was creating a way to simulate World of Warcraft. And when the game actually came out, lo and behold, it kind of looks like that's what they were doing, simulating World of Warcraft. It still feels that way to me. I don't consider it a role-playing game. I don't see how you could role-play very well in it. The tiers are just awful, because as your characters get stronger and higher up, all of a sudden all the difficulties change. I mean, you might as well just call the game. As soon as you get to the next tier, you might as well just start a new game. But it's a really good war game. It's an excellent war game. It's got a lot going for it. An absolute tremendous amount. It's a great simulator of World of Warcraft, in my opinion. But it's not a very good role-playing game, in my opinion, as I think most people will agree with that. That it didn't do very well. It's certainly not as well as 5th edition. So my concern here is, I think that as I see what Wizard of the Coast is working on with the virtual tabletop, and my understanding of virtual or AI, is that it kind of looks to me like DMs are kind of being turned into living computers again. And that's what I saw with 4th edition. 4th edition seemed like the Dungeon Master was sort of a living computer. There wasn't a lot there for the DM to do except just follow what was printed, and it was so well balanced. And 5th edition's kind of like that too, and I've already made videos about that, voicing my concern. One of the reasons I prefer OSR games. So with the virtual tabletop, it would be absolutely possible, in my opinion, to create a AI dungeon master, so that nobody would even need a dungeon master anymore, and you could just play online. So Wizards could create dungeons and so forth, you know, come out with new modules, and instead of having to read the books or find a DM and find the time or whatever, you could just go online with a group of friends and let the AI be the DM. That's great. That's great, but it's not D&D. That's a computer game in a dungeon. You know, it's Dungeons and Dragons after a way, but it's not what drew me to D&D. It's not the D&D I love and I know. It doesn't strike me as D&D. And I'm really concerned that is either being planned for already, or else it's going to be in the works, or it's just going to be a natural thing that comes out of this. And I think as the rules just keep getting simpler and simpler, which is a good thing, but they get more and more balanced, and you have things like CRs and stuff, so you don't even have to think about balancing. Players can pretty much know anything they encounter, they can take out, they can deal with. You never have to run from anything, that sort of thing. DMs don't have to worry that they've made the encounter too tough or whatever, as things just get more and more balanced. It really becomes less and less of a role, in my opinion, for the game master. That would be my dog. She's probably going to get going here. And so, in that way, that's a thing that I worry about. So those are basically my concerns over 1D&D. That's how I see things could possibly move. Could possibly move to getting rid of the open license and just saying, hey, one's rule set to rule them all. Right? It is odd that they chose that name, 1D&D. We're all, I imagine most of us anyway, 99% are Lord of the Rings fans, right? One rule, 1D&D? Yeah, it scares me a little bit. And also the virtual tabletop thing, it scares me them trying to push out a market like that, trying to dominate a market like that. It's good business. Hasbro, they know what they're doing. But is it good for the hobby? You know, that's the thing I always ask. Is it good for the hobby? And that's what I worry about. Anyway, that's it for my video. Please leave a like and be sure to subscribe. And please, if you disagree with me, if you know of something that I don't know of that might relieve my worries, you know, hey, post no worries. I would love to hear it. If you have any kind of information, I would love to hear it. All right, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will talk to you next time.